So after a 1 hour episode intro, you kind of have some things to expect per se from a series, considering the fact that they put that much effort in to have a first episode right off the bat. And I kind of discussed last time that this one was it wasn't mid and it wasn't something that was blowing me away. However, it had some things to prove. And will it prove that throughout this season? That's up for debate. We'll find out. But this episode alone more or less kept me content with the matter of keeping me interested and making me want to keep watching. So at least it's done that much so far. And with that being said out of the way, let's talk about this episode. So we start off pretty much beat for beat where the last one left off, with Ragna still falling asleep or passed out from using too much power, and everybody else was going out and attacking whatever the threat to the city was. And we come to see that it's another one of these upper dragons from the council. Excuse me. And he is clearly getting fed this food from these pretty much just civilians, I believe, that work at not necessarily the bakery, but someplace of food from the store from the city. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce the dragon's name because I know I'm going to butcher it no matter what. And they feed him, and of course they all look nervous because obviously he could do anything to them he really wanted to. And well, as we see, even though he did enjoy the food completely, he still ends up eating the chef like 100% down the throat, down the hatch, instantly within like 10 seconds. So like that did not matter whatsoever. And he's even coming to like admit, that he's got the permission from the dragon god that he can do whatever the heck he wants to do. So why the heck not just eat humans, because that's what he wants to do. So we flash forward to our good old Umro number 2, and he's in the city fighting off all the dragons, right? Because obviously we know what's happening in the woods. We don't know what's happening with him in town, and Ragna's still passed out. So they're fighting off, and then we see Leo also, fighting off the dragons as we speak. And for some reason, obviously Leo's worried about Ragna, because obviously he's pretty much her pet. And you see him floating in the air because he's about ready to get like devoured by this. And within like 2 seconds, he wakes up, activates his power, destroys all the vines that were there because he's obviously worried about Leo. And within like 2 seconds, before anything really can happen, he is taking off towards the woods to face what is happening in the woods, because he's freaking out about her getting hurt and just the duty that he's been given from the future self and what he needs to accomplish. Now, he's booking it, right? And Leo, for once, is the one that's following Ragna. And it's like the total complete opposite of how he had to chase her down last time. Now she's having to chase him down this time. And before we could even know it, he's in the woods kicking that dragon straight barefoot to the face with his freaking silver link, or whatever the heck you want to call it, attack power that he now has. And he even gives this nice little monologue about how the fact that everyone he's close to gets killed by dragons, and he wants to change that, and the only way to do that is to kill all the dragons. Obviously. And so we get to that, and instantly within 2 seconds he sees Ragna, or not Ragna, oh my goodness, he sees Crimson, my bad. He sees Crimson in the woods in a past self, because obviously in the when we got to see in the last episode, when he linked up with his past self, he also learned about the whole history and everything that went along with it. And obviously she, or well, let's call him they, because but Crimson's a big part of that future self and everything that's going to happen for them to eradicate all of the dragons. And right off the bat, though, he admits all of that. You're Crimson, I know you're Crimson, you're going to help me slay all the dragons. And pretty much she's trying to tell him that she's not Crimson, and she says that what her name is, and he knows her name before she even says her name. And from there on, pretty much he describes the whole backstory, like the fact of how Crimson was a dragon and didn't like the Dragon King and tried to kill the Dragon King, and then he went missing, and that they are at first, pretty much the first seat in the Dragon Council out of the 10. And it's just like you're learning everything about Ragna and Crimson, like all in like a matter of like seconds, right? Because obviously we learned about Crimson right now in this thing, and we learned about Ragna last time in like 10 seconds as well. So you're getting like a pretty much a basic rundown of both these characters, because obviously we're gonna get development into the story as we go further along, but it's just like okay, quick speed run on the history of this. But he lets her know that, you know, the future selves of them couldn't pull it off, and that he wants to do it because they met later into the future of their livelihood, so that if they have more time to actually, you know, do the thing that they need to do, that they might have a chance to actually do it, which makes sense to me in the long run, as kind of slightly confusing as that is. But Crimson, as she is in this maid attire uniform, denies all of this, you know, saying that you call me a dragon and a man and everything, and just in straight up denial. And it's like, oh yeah, of course, you know, you don't want to just trust anyone. But why, when this whole conversation's hitting its peak and uttermost epitome of the whole thing, here comes Leo. And Leo's, you know, like talking about how she doesn't know how he got so fast, and that, you know, the hunt's already over. And before they could even like answer and talk to each other, the dragon comes back again with his like beast plant mouth thing that he's got, and Ragna like takes this little ice bomb and throws it inside his stomach, takes Leo, picks her up, jumps across the room, and this whole thing just implodes. Just boom. Silver destroys that thing in like 2 seconds. It's like, damn. That's pretty good. But Leo's like, damn, you know, like actually complimenting him on the fact that he's gotten this strong, and like he doesn't really need her anymore. And so with that realization, even Leo tells her, you know, look, go take the civilians, get them out of here, and I'll meet you up someday. And he's gonna stay here and take care of all the dragons. And in this one moment, even Leo's like getting to the point now where she realizes that, you know, he's not necessarily trying to, but Ragna is leaving her behind, and not necessarily for the fact, you know, that she's weaker, what she is, but he wants to make sure that everybody that he cares for lives in this situation, unlike last time. Even though she's lived this time through, doesn't mean she's gonna live further on, you know. So he wants to keep her out of danger and everything, though she does not like that, because she's used to telling him everything and what he needs to do. So she snaps, right? Like she just snaps. And even he admits that, you know, he's never seen her snap before, but he comes to the realization of the fact that, oh yeah, you know, she's kind of only 12 years old, and you worshipped and like hid behind her, and it's time for you to be the one that she can hide behind and finish everything, so that she ends up not getting killed, you know. So he even like reminds her the fact that the first time that they met, that she said that, you know, the people that are stronger than the dragons are the ones that live, and the fact that she is now weaker than him, and those dragons that are coming around with the top, you know, council dragons, that, you know, they can't be together anymore, because she'll die if that fact happens. And obviously she does not take that so well, and ends up trying to attack Ragna, and Ragna just takes it by one finger and pushes her back right into the ground and says goodbye, and that is it. Like, those two have split up officially, and obviously it hurts them both a lot. And when we come back to consciousness, we see that Leo's actually on number two's back, and she's admitting, you know, that she tried to swing at him, and the fact that, you know, even if she tried, she wouldn't have succeeded in that matter. And she's getting self-doubt about the fact that, you know, why would he leave me? You know, everything I've done and everything we've done to this point was so much. But in the end, obviously she's only 12, but she'll figure out eventually that it was not just because of that, it was to save her life. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's definitely something that she's going to have to learn and grow to do, and maybe this will increase her to try to get stronger herself. Hard to say. Don't know exactly where this is going, especially the fact that it's changing the future-esque type of thing. So at least it gives you that slight bit of element of surprise and not knowing exactly what's going to happen, you know? So we see, you know, Ragna turning around and having crying and tears falling down his face, and he doesn't want anybody to die anymore. Like I said, he's turning a page and he's turning a leaf, and he wants to make sure this time everything is totally different. And So we got Crimson over here trying to, deny it even further yet again about the fact that if the sun was out, that it'd be dead. But obviously, Ragna knows everything because of the future and tells, that you were a monarch and it blocks off your powers. And she's still freaking in denial in the fact, and Crimson's still, I'm a woman. But, we find out, the fact that Crimson is a man, however, can change sex and age and forms. So there's no way to exactly definitely tell the true form of Crimson. But even Crimson from the future in a flashback shows the fact that they're not going to trust Ragna right off the bat. You're gonna have to earn that trust. And when Ragna figures that out, he starts listing off all these things about how he can take care of her, and feed Crimson, and bathe Crimson and just everything, and take care of dry hair and all of those fun things. And then Crimson just realizes that these were all about like Leo, and that he's kind of a creep, and now he's creeping on her. It's pretty great. But he ends up passing out because of just the use of all that, silver energy. And while he's passed out, Crimson comes and pretty much reads everything that's on, Ragna's mind and what's going on, and finds out about the steel that he has, or the silver that he has inside of him, and how that power works and all that stuff. So now Crimson's got kind of an itch of what the heck it's all about, and why this guy's like trying to do all of these things, kind of in a sense. And so when Ragna wakes up, Crimson confronts him about all these things, and what his goal is and what he's trying to do, and even admits that, to Crimson's self, obviously, that when they examine the body, they learn two things. First things first, knows his true form, which obviously is a rarity, and who the heck would really just know that off a whim. And second thing is that, he's got that silvering inside of him, but also to the fact that his potential's like to the sky, like he could do anything, and it's just enough to draw the curiosity of Crimson in, so that they can partner together and do what both of their goals are. But before that, in my opinion, it doesn't say that it is, but I think this is a setup by Crimson. And like 5 dragons are heading towards exactly where the civilians are at. So before anything can happen, Ragna grabs Crimson and they jump and they go to attack these dragons, right? And Ragna already off the bat's like asking for demands from Crimson, even though they haven't technically linked up yet. He's like, your wish is my command. So without anything and any other hesitation off the bat, instantly, Crimson's like, just kill them all. So he gets there, and there's like 4 or 5 of them, and with like in 2 seconds, he's got that silvering battle art thing going on with like 6 blades, and just destroys all of them like instantaneously. Not even like a second of doubt in the air that this is what is going to happen. And so while that's happening, Crimson's like, interesting, and even pulls up one of his swords, right? And pretty much comes to the fact that if they could make a clone army of like that weapon that he has, they could just totally annihilate everything. And so Crimson gets that sadistic face, spews out a bunch of slime that ends up pretty much cloning his weapons, right? And cloning everything. And finally, Crimson comes out in their truest form that we've seen so far, and just looks totally badass, right? And pretty much tells Ragna right off the bat that they're going to accept their offer, but the only condition is they have to swallow this poison, and it's pure agonizing, and that it'll kill you in like so amount of time if they end up betraying Crimson. But before Crimson can even like describe what could happen, Ragna's already got this thing chucked down, and even Crimson's like, well, why'd you do that without even finishing? And Ragna's pretty much, I want to make sure everything I love is safe, and that everything's gonna be okay. And even like Crimson's like, that's kind of a bitch move, and you'll definitely never be a hero, but you're pretty much the perfect little toy to use for me to move forward with my goal. And then we also find out that once everything is said and done throughout this whole thing, that once all the dragons are slain, Ragna has to kill Crimson at the very end. And so is the tale, the story of how those two exterminate dragons begins. And Honestly, for a setup, like I said, it's definitely nothing that's been impressing me. It's not something that I think is going to blow me out of the water, but I do think it is going to be slightly better than average, and it's enough to keep me entertained. And you know what? I'll accept that and hope to God that it does, end up being something that slightly blows my mind away. Because we only get so many a year, let's be honest here. And if it's something that can even slightly blow your mind away, it doesn't have to be a 9 or a 10, but an 8, beautiful. Because Lord knows if you get too many 10s, what's the world going to become? Their standards are going to be too high. And you get too many shitty ones, you're only going to expect shit. So having your window slightly open is always a good thing to have. And I have that with this series. And I hope to God that it does continue on and do what it's been doing. But with that being said, that's pretty much all I got for today. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It means a lot to me. And hit that subscribe button. We've been doing really good, guys. And I plan to get more on schedule here with doing my 4 to 5 series this season. I'm doing Frerian, which I'm a little behind on. I plan on getting up to that today. I got this series, Goblin Slayer. And then I'm also doing Eminence in the Shadow, which, that's gonna be a fun one. So yeah, this has been Squids, and I will see y'all in the next video. Peace.